Okay, I think we can get started, and then if more people join, they can just kind of meet us where we're at. So, good afternoon, and welcome to everyone joining from all over the country. Some regulars, which we love seeing, and some new faces who are very welcome, and we're happy to have you. So today we're incredibly excited to have Kyle and Adri from Badger Holdings, and they'll be sharing Badger Holdings have been a client of PlutoLMS for a little over a year now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And it's just been so lovely working with Kyle and Adri and getting to know just the things that they're excited about when it comes to their learning and development strategy and developing their people at Badger Holdings. There we go. And what we'd love to do today is just actually, especially as the year draws to a close, kind of take a moment to reflect on how far you guys have come. And then also, just look back on, some of the stories, some of the learning and development stories. I think we had a chat leading up to the webinar, and we agreed on the power of storytelling and how wonderful that is to really bring people together and inspire, especially within the learning and development community. So today is really about storytelling, sharing learning and development experiences, and then obviously we'll take a look at the theme of transforming from mere training and onboarding and creating a more holistic learning and development strategy and the value of that to your employees. So Kyle and Adri, welcome. We're really excited to have you. I'm thankful that you took the time to come and share your stories. I'd love for you guys to quickly introduce yourselves to our guests, and just if you could explain, how you ended up in learning and development and what you're currently doing at Badger Holdings, and then also, maybe one or two points what you love about your job.
That's easy. Everything.
You have to say that.
Adri, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. I'll kick off. Hi, guys. I'm Adri. I've been with the company exactly this year, 10 years. Loving my journey here with the company. It could have been a little bit longer, but it wasn't destined to be. I previously joined the company going into another department, but loving the training department it's what stood out for me when I started at Badger. And I always pestered my trainer, Janet, which is still working with me, pestered her and tell her I want to work with you, because she was the only person there. And she said, but she doesn't have a position. So I said, oh, okay. And so I went up. It didn't work out for me in the department. So I left for 3 years. And then she phoned me up one day out of the blue and said, a position open for a training facilitator. Won't I come and help her? And of course, I didn't even think twice about it. She left an impression with me, and I came and worked for her. And I am still. So that's me. And what I love about my job, as I said, we always joke around that we say that you spend most of your time at work. And you have to, get along with the people that you work with. And I can have every day of this 10 years say that I love to come to my job, because it's the people around, it's how you interact with everybody, and we work together. We're really a well-oiled machine here. So that's us in a nutshell.
That's lovely. Thank you, Adri. Kyle, how about you?
So hi everybody, firstly. I suppose my story is a little bit different. I joined the company almost 19 years ago now, so I've been here for a while. Part of the furniture. I know I look young, but age is creeping up on me. Firstly, Badger Holdings, just so everybody knows, Badger Holdings is obviously a holdings company with, we've got an array of different companies that falls within that group. And when I started, I actually started off back in Springs in Johannesburg. Springs. And I actually joined the company. It was more almost on a whim. I was kind of trying to figure out where I was going. And I joined the company. And when I joined the company, straight away, the culture was something that jumped out at me as like, wow, this is a great place to work. So I joined a brokerage that was part of this kind of group. And then they had an opening to move to George, which is where we are now, where the insurance itself this was going to be the new head office. And so I jumped to the bit. I was like, sure thing, jumped on a plane, traveled all the way here, spent my first Christmas alone, pretty much. I still phoned my brother in England, and I got like 3 words out of him. I was like, well, that was a waste of a phone call. Yeah, cheers. But I joined the company, and I've been here for a long time. But when I joined the company, I actually started off in an internal sales environment. And for a large part of my journey, I was in sales. But when we moved to George, there's obviously a lot of moving parts within an insurance organization. And so I actually got the privilege to be a part of so many of these different areas. So whether it's in sales, like the welcoming group itself, whether it's been part of the telematics or the Netstar device that we have in our vehicles, getting those sorted, whether it was part of the claims area, I've pretty much been a part of almost every different area there was, but I settled for a long time in the client care environment. And had a great time in client care, worked my way up there, ended up being one of the managers of that area. And I had many different little projects that we kind of ended up doing, and it was going very well. And at the time, I was actually approached by the general manager now of the training area. And he asked me, like, how would I feel about moving to the learning development area, or the training area back then? And of course, my first thought was I'd flip and love it. Of course, I'm passionate about seeing other people learn, other people grow and develop, and it's always been a passion of mine. And so I thought, well, that's going to be an amazing thing. But then I said, look, I'd love it, but it's probably never going to happen. It's not like I'm not doing okay where I am, and I knew the operations, how we were structured, that I almost thought there was going to be too many obstacles in the way. And so we just prayed about it, to be honest. And all those obstacles that I thought were going to be in the way just started knocking down. And so I joined, I think it must have been about 7 or 8 years ago now. I joined the actual training environment. Adri was already here. She welcomed me. And I moved into the learning development area, obviously, and just from strength to strength, absolutely loved it. I love being a part of everything that's to do with learning development, from facilitating, actually leading the guys in a team. Now, obviously, my role has shifted substantially now as we work on our new culture of learning and this L&D approach that we've got going on. But yeah, so that's my
that's your story.
My kind of info from a company perspective. On a personal level, obviously I was born in England. You might hear it in my accent, apparently. I don't think I've got one, but other people tell me I still do. I moved to South Africa in '94, and I've basically, like I say, through my journey, I've kind of gone with the company. So to Springs to George, and I absolutely love it here in George. We've got a beautiful wife, 2 kids, living life large.
Lovely. Thank you, Kyle. And both of you, I just from my experience with the lovely people that you are, and just the dynamic energy that you bring to learning and development, and your passion for developing people, I'm pretty sure that I can speak on Badger Holdings' behalf that they're lucky to have you. And so quickly before we'll dive into this transformation journey from onboarding and compliance training to a holistic culture, which you've touched on, Kyle. Just before we do that, I'd like to set the agenda. We'll touch on, how we'll unpack this journey of yours. So you guys have been at the company for quite a while. You have a really unique perspective, especially Kyle, from moving through all of the departments, unique perspective on the company's training environment. And so we'll unpack that journey in this webinar, just from how you actually identified the need to move beyond just mere training and offer a more comprehensive learning and development offering. Then we'll move into just the kind of practicalities. So what are some of the tools and approaches that you use to actually, and that you are using to implement a more holistic framework? And then we'll, like we mentioned earlier, it is end of the year and you've been with Pluto for a year now, but you've also been, working at this new approach for a while, reflecting on progress. And then also we never reflect without learning our lessons and turning that focus to the future then. So then we'll also look to the future and what the future holds for you guys, and what some of your ambitions and vision includes for the future. And then we'll end off with a Q&A session. We'll try our very best to leave some time for a Q&A session. So I won't hold us up any longer. Let's dive in. I do also want to mention on the screen, I'll just always have some, as we go through those sections, we'll have some questions for the audience to kind of just get you guys thinking as well. Maybe if you have some burning questions, if this sparks some burning conversations, do put up your hand and we can address it. Otherwise, post in the chat. And we can get to those questions when we get to the Q&A session. So please feel free to jump in or be thinking of questions you want to ask Kyle and Adri when we get to the Q&A session. Okay, so let's dive in. When we talk about, identifying the need for a more comprehensive learning and development offering, either Kyle or Adri, you guys have both been there for quite some time now. Could you maybe describe to us, before you identified the need for, a more holistic offering, what was learning and development like at Badger Holdings? What were some of the core focuses of your learning and development offerings? Onboarding, compliance training, and also maybe why were those things in focus? Was it because learning and development wasn't really seen as really valuable to employees? Was it because of trying to save resources and budget was too small? Always budget was too small, but
always.
If you could touch on those things, and then we can move from there.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in there. As I said, I've been here from the beginning, so I've walked the journey with Janet, starting with really just face-to-face training. We didn't have any technology, we didn't have any platform or anything at that stage. Janet actually started the journey with a one-pager. She had to start the training department, so she had one page, and obviously back then we didn't have that many products. We have over 50 at the moment, and when I started in 2011, the first time, we only had like 6 products. So basically what it was to comply that the people that needed to go to the floor had to know the product knowledge. Obviously, to help our clients, to serve our clients properly, the product knowledge had to be there. So that was the main focus. Obviously, back then, it was a 6-week program that we attended. And in that 6-week program, you had the software system training and all that, just so that the people know what it looks like before they go onto the floor. Yeah. But nothing intensive. It was just role playing and things like that. So it was very interactive since then, but not as intense as we wanted, like we have it at the moment. And that was, we just literally went through your training material, you wrote tests, and then you went to your floor.
And you were done. No more training.
No, actually, it didn't really stop, because when changes came about, we actually literally had to get them off the floor, come down to the training department. We had about 6-7 sessions a day. So you had to repeat the same thing over and over and over for 6 or 7 sessions a day, which lasted about 2 or 3 days, because I think, what do we have, 700 people in a company? So it was quite a lot, if you can think that we had to drag all those people down to the training department. Yeah. And then from there, when I started in 2014, we went that way still. But then we also saw the need that we had to look at technology. The e-learning platforms came about then for us. And we started off with the normal WPLMS one. We created one for us. And that was our first focus, was to try and let the people be more productive and let them do the training on the floor. Especially when the changes took place. You can imagine, to get 700 people get to know the changes that takes place in products and so forth. So it was really a challenge at first, but getting to know the systems, I started it up and put all our training material on and so forth, created all the tests and that, and it really worked well. The people didn't have to come down, time wasn't wasted, and so it worked for the managers as well. They were very happy that the people aren't that long off the floor.
Yes.
So that was our main focus at first, when we started with the technology and so forth. And then slowly but surely, our previous GM wanted to start like a Badger University. His mind was there, getting to get the people into learning, into doing more things. So that's why we started with the e-learning platform, so that we can build stuff. But unfortunately, he passed away, and a new GM came, and that stood still for a little bit, just to get us back into the thing, and yeah, and then the system broke, as systems sometimes do, and the people that started it, they left, unfortunately, so we couldn't fix it. So I had to, we then went with, we want to build our own system so that we could let people self-enroll and stuff and all sorts. But yeah, as luck would get us, we had it built, we had it up and running, and that person left us that built it for us. So that's where our journey started, looking for you guys into a system that we can, build our vision that we wanted to learn, let the people learn from the system and so forth. So yeah, that's how we gradually went along. So yeah, Kyle, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Audrey's covered it pretty well there already. I think the main thing for us, I remember back then when training first started, it was literally the focus was training people. It was specifically built on training. So when somebody comes to the company, what do they need to know to be compliant, to make sure they have the product knowledge to best serve our customers? Again, one of the main things about our organization is that we're very customer centric. We're always thinking about the customer, always thinking about what's best for them. And so what can we do to equip our staff to best help those clienteles, the clients of ours? And it was a very strong focus. And Janet, who, like Adri mentioned, she kind of started the training division back then. It's literally started off as, these are the tools you need to have, and let's get these guys trained up so that they're able to answer the questions they need to answer. When they got to the floor in their specific departments, they might have a bit of guidance there, but it was very much let's get on, let's get the work done and make sure we're helping our clients. And it was a lot of focus on the clients, and I want to say a bit less focus on the development of the staff back then. It was initially about give them the knowledge to be able to do the job.
Yes.
And that's it. Like I say, as Adri said, we've kind of gone on we can elaborate more and more as we go through this, but we've gone on this gradual path of, okay, where do we want to be? That's the focus and the growth. And obviously more recently, we've taken leaps and bounds into the next area that we're going into, which we'll come to later. But yeah, our history was very much focused on that training aspect, rather than learning and development as a whole. And it was good back then. I'm not saying it wasn't great. It was amazing back then for what we were doing, what the team were managed to accomplish. The way that the training happened was more of a learning rather than a training anyway, because of the style that we did. We've always had a fun, exciting kind of way of delivering things. But yes, we realized, we earmarked that we've got to grow from there.
So that's definitely what I heard from what Adri explained as well, that there was that interaction even in the early training, which is great to hear. And as someone who's experienced the customer service from Dodge agents, and I mean, you're definitely doing something right. I recently got pet insurance, but
that's good to know.
It's important. But so yeah, technology has certainly helped you streamline what you were already doing. And then, Carl, you mentioned, you've gradually included a stronger focus on how the employees can also personally develop. And so maybe we can dive into when you started, incorporating this focus into your L&D strategy, this more like personal development. How does the training actually benefit the employees as well? And more of a continuous learning aspect. What were some of the outcomes you hoped to achieve? What was kind of included in your vision? You mentioned, you're growing in leaps and bounds towards that vision. What exactly is that vision? What would your ideal L&D environment include?
Be like? Yeah. Well, look, it's a great question. In terms of the way things are going at the moment, obviously technology, the advancements of AI, all of that is playing a big role in where L&D is going at the moment. But we're so excited about it because effectively what we're looking at is we're in a time now when L&D is, I want to say, it's more popular than it's ever been. People are talking about organization. Before it was just like, listen, get going, get on the floor, get working. More and more attention is being paid to L&D as a whole, the learning development and continual development of staff. And that's kind of where our vision is. We know that we want to make sure that our clients have the best service and get provided the best possible service that is out there. Obviously that excellent service as we have it. In order to do that, we need every single person with an organization to be in the same place. They also need to receive excellent service from us as an organization. So our goal is very much in not just saying you can do the job that we need you to do, but how can we help you to be the best version of you, if you will? How can we bring out the talent that we've got already in these guys and help support them to become the great that they were destined to be, if you will. So our focus at the moment is very much more along the lines of the skill sets that before were never really taken as big a focus on, that are coming more to the forefront now, like critical thinking, being communication, EQ skills, all of these things that are skills that are more and more popular nowadays because we realize the significance that they have as a role for us. How to communicate to people. To be honest, the biggest things in the world is probably for communication. It's very difficult for organizations and corporates and these things to make sure that the communication path is done very well. And when something slips through, it causes big problems. So with this in mind, we're trying to approach all of those topics and make sure we've got somewhere that is readily available for these guys to grab. So ultimately, we've got a whole bunch of things down the pipeline that we're looking at. But we're essentially saying what we want is we want somewhere where there's push training and pull training, pull learning and push training. So basically, there's the compliance side. We work in the financial industry. I mean, there's always going to be that compliance. You have to do this, no matter how boring you think it is. We will funify it as much as we can. We will make sure it's as great as it can be, and make sure that knowledge sits in a way that it just resounds in your mind and it's easy to remember. That's the compliance.
That would be push training.
That would be the push training. We'll be saying you need to do this. You need to focus on these areas. But we're also trying to bring in that kind of that LXP, if you will, that experience as well, where we've got a whole range of free content available for the staff. Now, while they're busy there, could be a salesperson sitting there busy doing their sales and realizing, I'm struggling with my closing today, or in general. And they can go quickly onto the system and see, hey, there's a course here that's been designed by somebody within the organization that's good at sales. Oh, look, somebody's got content here, and this is available I can do it. Takes 10 minutes, and it's got some core elements and tips that I can use that I can now improve myself. So instead of having to be on a massive course somewhere, or something's going to take weeks, or just something they can quickly go in and see, oh, that's something I'm interested in, grab that.
Love that.
And we don't know where they're at all the time. They've got to be able to tell us. So if we cater for them with all the needs that they have, they can go in and see, my communication, I feel like I'm not connecting with my client well. Oh, there's a course on how to build rapport. Let me quickly do that. Take a bit of time out of the day, do that course, learn and develop as they're growing, and ultimately improve the way that themselves as well as the way they deliver the service as well.
Yes.
So that's kind of the focus. We want to have that push and pull. And then again, we're going into a little bit later, but we have this idea. We want to create learning pathways and, basically help guide them using competencies and those kind of things. But
lovely. Audrey, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, it also is not just for the operation, just a normal level person. It's also in developing to see who has like managerial skills or coming a front to be a team leader or a supervisor. So that's where you also identify people if they want to learn. They want to up themselves. So that's how you also can identify those people. And we also work, especially Kyle works a lot with the managers as well. Because obviously you as a call center person need to be able to trust your manager and be able to just talk freely and ask questions freely. And that's what we want. We want those communication gaps to like intertwine so that they don't have, get the feeling that they can't ask the manager something. They need to have that free will to be able to ask, why are we doing this? Or, get some input from the actual person that's doing the work as well, the call center person.
Yeah.
that's where we also want to close that gap.
I love that.
So that we help the managers to manage their teams as well. So, which is also nice. We've got lots of courses on that. Carl and them has been working really hard. So, yeah.
So my next question was kind of on that. It seems like there's a big focus on the softer skills. And then, Adri, I know you are very heavily involved in creating that content. You know, number one, funifying the compliance content, but also creating, you know, the as you go, the new content. So, and in our talk before the webinar, you mentioned a really interesting just system around actually finding out where the gaps are and what your employees need. So maybe you could dive into, on that topic, kind of the processes, the way you went about kind of planning which content to start incorporating and which topics to start addressing, and processes that you use to help you kind of streamline content creation, which content to create, who to offer more training to, just your processes around evolving and expanding your offering.
For sure. So to be honest, this is, I want to say, an easier topic to kind of talk into, because when it comes to learning development, a lot of the time we can create all the content in the world with so many different topics. But if it's not meeting the needs of the guys on the floor, it's just going to sit there and nobody's going to do it. So the first thing we needed to understand was actually what are the needs? Where are the needs on the floor? Where are the needs in the different departments? So what we started doing is I would go to myself and one of the guys from our coaching team. We go to the floor and we start speaking to the managers firstly about what they feel the needs are, and kind of getting a feel from the staff. Like firstly understanding where they're at. What kind of courses do they feel would benefit them?
So can I quickly jump in here? My mind is burning. Did you notice a difference between what managers were saying where the gaps are and what the staff on the floor were saying?
Yeah, probably yes. It's strange. There is some alignment. Okay. Because I think there's also a typical, well, I guess I need this. Because a lot of time people actually don't know what they need. Where managers have more of an overview and see, well, this is more of a, holistically, this is probably the course that will benefit more of the team, where an individual is more, well, I personally think I might need to learn this. But there were some similarities, but you could definitely tell, you know, which group it was coming from, whether it was the individual or the manager in terms of the course relations. But managers have different, they do their own training as well. And so what we would do is we kind of sit in those trainings. And we'd record those trainings as well, and you know, get the feedback from them and see, okay, well, these are the topics and areas that we can hear from. Going to voice recordings, listening to voice recordings and seeing, okay, so maybe tonality spot on, but maybe this element of the sales area could be improved on, and working with the leadership and the management to align on those. With that in mind, again, there's always that generic, we want to get baseline, a generic approach to most things, because again, there will be people that want to learn something that we haven't thought of. So what we've done is we've actually built a system. We recently soft launched off our Pluto free content library, if you want to call it that. And when we launched it off, along with it, what we've got is a brief template. And this brief template, using MS Forms really, using this form, it's a simple template that somebody can fill out that says, this is the course I'm interested in. I've looked on the system, I maybe haven't seen it or something, or the one that's there didn't quite do it for me. I'm looking for this content. This is the outcome I want from this is X. We want to make sure that all the content we deliver has got to be outcome based. It's pointless doing a sales course if your sales don't improve. It's pointless doing an EQ course if you still talk to people like rubbish. You've got to make sure that the course is outcome-based, and we can measure our courses and see, yes, this one will benefit, this one's not working so much, we'll replace that course. But so what is the course? What is the outcome they're looking for? What actually why do they want to do this course? Then how do they learn? At the moment, we're in a time where everybody learns differently. Some people like to read a book. Other people don't give me a book for a million years. You know, some people like videos, some people like animation, some people just like listen to the audio. There's a whole range of different ways to learn. So the next question is, well, how would you like to receive this? Would you like to receive this as an audio book? Would you like to receive this as an interactive course? Would you like this to be a deeper level course, which is obviously, like we spoke to the managers as well. Some of them were still building this, but what kind of courses would you like to workshop out, if you will? Like, we can build the different ranges of them. And using AI and technology now, we're able to build those quite quickly. The next question would be, obviously, when do you want this by? The next question would be, are there any resources that you have that you want to show us? This is the kind of thing I'm looking for. And then the last section is quite important, saying, who are the stakeholders involved here? Okay, who else is involved in this kind of decision making? Because communication is key to everything. So if we can get an idea of, well, I'd like this course, but these are the people that will be affected by it. Now we can cater to all those needs to make sure we're developing the best course for them and making it available, so that we can enroll them on the course, or they can self-enroll. The course will be available to everybody. And long term, we're going to do like a mini webinar series as well, as probably talking to that a bit just now as well. But there's a range of things we're going to try and do to meet them where they are in a way that they learn. I don't know if anybody's read the book Limitless by Jim Quick, but what I loved about that book is it's not about what you're learning, it's about how you learn. It talks about, listen, you could be focusing, I need to learn this, I need to learn that, I need to learn this. But if you don't understand how to learn, you're going to struggle to learn. And so we want to make sure that we cater for that how to learn. You know, if you focus, if your storytelling is obviously probably the key element here. If you've learned by stories, then we'll create story-based kind of knowledge learning. If you learn by reading autobiographies, we'll do that. If you like comic books, you know what? We'll create a comic book for you. We'll find different ways to engage you to make sure that you can learn, because you're the one that needs that information. It's not for us, it's for you. And that's what we're trying to cover for our staff.
Kyle, that does sound incredible. I think, you know, something that really shows your employees how much you value them, the organization values them, to really meet them where they are. But it also seems like a massive task. And especially learning and development teams are typically understaffed, under-budgeted, under-resourced. So maybe you could speak to your turnaround time on those requests and how you go about, you know, practically actually implementing it. What are some of the tools? I know you mentioned, kind of quick wins of how you manage to reduce your turnover time and kind of make use of what you already have to go about creating that content. But what are some of the tools and processes and quick wins, if you can call it that you use to actually get that content up and going for those employees who make requests?
No, for sure. I'll touch on this. I think I'll get touch on a lot of it. From my end, what I can say is, look, it is a daunting task. About a year or so ago, I attended an L&D seminar, if you will, a conference in Stellenbosch. It was an amazing conference, and it spoke a lot into AI and the different things that are coming at the time. But one of the things that stood out to me was I want to say, for our organization, we like to try and do a lot of things ourselves. So we're small fish in a big pond, but we keep up with the big dogs. You know, we make sure that we're number one at everything we can possibly do. We strive for excellence everywhere we go. But when you start looking around and the development is happening in the L&D environment, it kind of opened up my eyes a bit to I feel like we're a little bit behind where we should be. So a large focus has been going into developing this kind of content. And so those briefs, the turnaround time that we're trying to get to at the moment is, we want to say, no matter what course you bring out, within 2 weeks, we've got you that course. Obviously, depending on the structure, the size of that course. Yeah. Some courses we can get done within a couple of days. We can just pop them out like that. And ideally, we want to leverage and use AI as much as possible to get things done within a day or two. You know, that's the goal, is that ultimately, no matter what you're looking for, using the tools we can leverage, we want to now kick into place. So what we've got in place, a couple of things I just wanted to say. We're trying to use automation as much as possible. Okay. So I mentioned this brief. This brief is on MS Forms. Well, we've also got to manage the tasks that come from these. Because if we've got 10 requests and we've got 2 people working on those requests, well, 8 have to take a back burner, you know? So we've got to make sure that it's aligned and structured in a way that we prioritize these things correctly. So we use MS Planner, for example. We've done this on purpose, strategically, but we also use MS Automate. So effectively, as soon as a request comes in on that brief, not only does we receive the brief feedback, but it automatically gets assigned to somebody to do that task. Okay, along that way, it will also be sent to us as an email to confirm that task has been associated or whatever. And then I can also manually go in and just check, okay, this person is too busy, let me move it over to somebody else, or structure it and manually sort that. But that automation process means that immediately when somebody's requesting something, it's already put into the log to be completed. It's not sitting as a request somewhere waiting for us to look at it one day. It's automatically in the workflow already. So we're using that automation. And then the tools we're using to try to develop this content, look, again, AI technology has been incredible, and we are jumping into it head fast. We always say we're a digital company, but we specialize in insurance, if you will. So what we're looking at is we use tools like we've used Beyond for animation. We use ChatGPT is like my best friend now. I love the thing. ChatGPT basically makes sure that we can get the structure nicely. We can reword things if we need to reword things, find it in a way that's going to appeal, use storytelling from that aspect. We use InVideo to text to video. We use 11 Labs, text to audio, bringing fun audios in, and it's nice because you can use the cloning aspect, and you can have all sorts of crazy voices that you can use for this kind of content. And again, one of the big ones, I suppose, in terms of how we've managed to get this far is by using Pluto as well for that process.
So glad you mentioned.
So Pluto has been an absolutely incredible stepping stone for us in terms of what we've been able to deliver from where we were to where we are now in such a short period of time has been incredible. And it's largely due to the fact that we've been able to use a platform like Pluto that's easy, user-friendly. And I mean, it's so nice working with you guys, because if we're like, oh, we're looking at this, we're like, yeah, sure, we work together and we can make that happen. And that's absolutely incredible to be able to do that.
We paid Cal to say this, guys.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Adri, would you like
from
to
my
jump in?
side, obviously, I've always did the actual product material, do the challenges and things, and it's like every year it felt to me like I'm doing the products over and over, because each year is a different template, a different system I work on, and I have to put it on. So that what made it easy for me was the different technologies that came into play, as Carl said, the AI creating the right pictures in the right places and so forth, and also the voice. The voice was for me a big thing, because back then we bought a mic, and we had all those tools, and you had to go sit in your little room, and then you had to go and voice over yourself those presentations.
And you do them a million times over.
Just type them in, and that person talks by themselves, which is amazing and awesome. So that just like half the time of creating content, so which is very, very, very nice for me. And obviously way back when we didn't have the audio on the presentations, and a lot of people came to me and asked, first thing, is there voice to this? And I said, no, you have to read. And a lot of people don't like reading, like me. I don't like reading that much, but I'll listen. I like the audio side of it. So that helped me quite a bit with 11 Labs. It's an awesome product. And as Carl said, he already cloned some of his voices over. So and other people's. The technology just helps one to create your content, and which makes it much easier today, especially beyond. It's amazing what you can do with that, just making a little cartoon, little snippets, like we have certain definitions and things, and just make little short videos for them to watch, make the learning more interesting and fun as well.
Lovely. Quickly, my next question. You now improving how your turnover rate in terms of getting these courses out there. Technology is really streamlining that. Pluto is helping you expand your reach and making that available online and mobile and all those kind of things. But how do you actually, that's really a large part here is improving the experience of the L&D team and improving the rate at which you can produce. But then how do you actually go about encouraging employees to take up the learning that you're producing and providing them now? What's your experience there? How do you encourage them? Are they excited about this, or is it still kind of like, oh, training is just something I have to do?
One.
So that's exactly, you've actually hit the nail on the head in terms of one of the biggest challenges in any organization when it comes to L&D is that how do you get staff actually engaged, actually viable? Remember, this journey we've been on for 2 or 3 years now, just really upping the game more recently. But it's been something that we've had it's something that we've been trying to actively work on and make it a very serious focus in terms of building that culture. So within our organization, one of the things that we talk about a lot is our culture. We have a vibrant culture. We have what we call our Badger culture. And what we've been actively working on engaging in is to make sure that everybody realizes how valued they are, because we want to see people grow. It's not for us, it's for them. And so what we do is we very much interact with the staff on the floor. We very much are involved with the leadership. Remember, 2 of our big focus areas is, we've probably got 10 areas we focus on, but 2 of the big ones is those soft skills kind of areas, and also the leadership side of things as well. So those are 2 very key areas that we're working on, in amongst a range of others, actual computer literacy kind of stuff, like your programs and software and all those other things. But ultimately, we want people to find learning fun and engaging. Okay, in order to do that, you've got to firstly meet them where they are. Now, with the younger generation, TikTok is like a prime thing, right? TikTok are these short little clips, and everybody wants to be on this. Oh, I want to watch something because I don't have time to watch a movie, but I'll watch 20 episodes of a series, which is 3 times the length of the movie. Everybody wants this short, quick, engaging, poppy kind of stuff that comes with them. And so it's firstly about understanding what do people actually like? What are people actually interested in? And the only way you can do that is by talking to them, actually getting an engagement in it. And when you start developing content that grabs their attention, they're more likely to follow that rabbit line. That they're more likely to follow that line and say, okay, that was great. Oh, hang on, there's something similar. Let me try that. Oh, that looks quite cool. Let me get them. But we need to get them in first. So improving that level of engagement made that culture, basically our culture must be one of learning and development. The one thing that we're really trying to strive for is to say that learning is not separate from your work. It is part of your job. It is part of what you do. We want to make sure that we're providing people the resource, the information, everything they need to be able to learn while they work. Okay. And it's not to say, well, I don't have time for this. No, we'll make time for you. We'll make sure that we focus on you so that you can actually improve and develop.
Does that look like, sorry, Carl, does that look like dedicated learning time built into the day, or just a culture where it's acceptable to take some time to learn?
Yeah, so probably more the latter. It's acceptable to take some time to learn, but obviously there will be management processes in place here. We can't just say,
I'm taking a whole day, I'm just learning today.
I read a book today, which would be amazing, but it doesn't help. We've obviously got a bottom end. We've got to remember that part of the key area here is that we do have our actual job functions to do. We've got those KPIs for the managers. So everything we do, we want to try and align with those KPIs. We want to align with the leadership to say, we as learning development are actually a strategic partner. We're not someone that, we're not saying like, we'll give you this because we think it's nice. We want to find out from you what you find is nice, what you think is important, and we will be that strategic partner. We will be that support system that can provide you what you need. So one of the things we're doing there, for example, I said earlier that some of the leaders in different areas, they'll have their own little internal like voice recording sessions or training sessions and things like that. So what we want to do, we're going to be taking those sessions that they're doing, and we're actually going to put those sessions, record them, and build them into courses that those are on the system. Because we'll have one manager that's done incredible training or session on, I'll just use sales because it's one of the most popular topics, out of sales, how to make sales and the rest of it. It's incredible. So our dealer sales area will know that, and that'll be amazing. But the pet sales guys, they also need to do the sales training, and they don't even know it's available. They don't even know what course that was. So now we're sharing knowledge. Now they can go on and see, oh, look, there's a course by Des. That was an amazing course. It was brilliant. I want to do all courses that Des has done. Let me jump on and see what else he's got going, and we can actually lift those levels of engagement because people are actually interested in it. One of the nice things is that I do find as well, if you find courses that are developed within people within your own organization, people are more inclined to jump into it because they know the person.
Yes.
I mean, sitting here, if Adri did a course on something, I'd be like, oh, Adri did a course. That's cool. Let me check it out. Let me see what it is.
Yeah.
And or like you, Danica, you do a course. I'm like, well, I want to know what that's like, and I'm more likely to go in
Yeah.
and actually follow that course. So building courses internally will be one thing,
Okay.
which is where I'm doing a lot of talking now, which is where
rope Audrey back in right now.
it's where the webinar series that I kind of want to roll out is going to be coming from as well. I don't know if you want me to talk about that now, or I'll put it off for another question.
We are quickly running out of time. I wanted to just quickly touch on something you mentioned about leveraging your internal, resources and knowledge. I think that's so lovely. And I can also imagine it kind of enhances a mentorship culture. Is that the hope, that people would also start reaching out within the organization, kind of outside of the platform for
Yes.
just cool
100%.
conversations? Is that something that's
100%.
already happening?
So we've actually got it's one of our personal stories, I suppose. We got one of our coach, a guy named Mike. He started this journey where basically our rollout, where it used to be training, and then you get to the floor and you obviously learn on the floor bits and pieces, but it's basically just training. And then now what we're trying to do is it's almost a 3-step process. You've got your launch pad, if you will, which is where you come into the company, you get a feel for who the company is as an organization, our culture, our feel, who we are, so that you're happy with the company you're working with. And part of that would be the general knowledge you need to know to be able to do the job within this industry. So your basic principles of insurance and maybe there's some of the product specifics that you have to know and the compliance side of things. Then you get to the floor. That's just step one. Then you get to the floor, which is effectively your bridge. And your bridge is saying, okay, now that you've got to the floor, now you're in your specific department. You're going to work on your specific department stuff. This is where part of that, from that kind of launchpad to bridge kind of area, we've got our coach coming in. He supports these guys as they go to the floor, which helps them as well. And again, we want to build this mentorship and this development as we go. And so he'll support them in that journey. And ultimately, that will take them through to, let's say, their graduation, if you will, from this graduation gateway from the learning area. But that's not where it stops either. Like, what we're trying to drive is that learning and development never stops. It's always going to be, there's always something more that you can improve and learn. And so from that gateway, we've also got this, again, this continual, we're constantly involved in the learning and growth and development of the staff as they continue. And with our coaching setup, that's what we're trying to aim towards, is that we build these mentors, this mentorship program as such. We do these little programs that help people encourage each other, keep people accountable to those kind of goals and things that they're looking for.
Lovely. Let's maybe move to, that was kind of, I think, naturally kind of moving into reflecting on the progress that you have made. So let's move there as we're running out of time. If you look back on, where you started this journey and the big plans you have, and Carl, you have really it's so evident that, you guys are really shooting for the stars kind of thing. You're really ambitious and I love it. Keeping in mind where you want to go, where you started from, what are some of the achievements over, let's say, the past year or two that you're most proud of? And Adri, please do jump in here as well. Maybe combine that with what are some of your employees saying about training and development. If you guys could touch on that.
Adri, do you want to jump in before I get going?
He can talk all day long. Yes, achievements. Obviously, my achievements will be, I work with the system a lot.
Yes.
And learning different systems was my biggest achievement. Mastering the system that you work with, and using it to the best of our knowledge and to put our things out there. Yeah. But for me, it was really, you never stop learning with new systems and you never stop learning. I've only learned a patch of Pluto, which I will definitely want to learn more and more and more. But as we go along, we bit it off in bits and pieces. We said by this time we want to be there. By that time we want to be there. And I'm going to most probably touch a bit with what we're looking to in the future as well. Bring that Perfect. In quickly. Is also our data that we collect from the system to go forward. building those
Yes.
correct the courses that the people are actually wanting, seeing which ones they actually go into. I've just done a little analysis by myself with the self-enrollment, because some of those, our content library is self-enrollment, and a lot of people went in, and you can actually see which ones they actually wanted to go in and see. So build more of those type of courses, and so with the data we collect from them, which department, we can actually see which departments is actually active learning. So I also just this morning said to one of the girls, we can from this data look and see which ones we need to go and promote a little bit more, tell them to go into these articles a little bit more, see what they like in that, do a little bit of promotion on our free content library. And also with the gamification that we're also looking at for the future, that is our next step for the next 6 months, is building in this rewards program for people that learn, that want to learn. You'll see, you'll actually be very, once you start giving rewards, see how much people is actually like wanting to get involved in it, and it's like the competition side is coming out there.
Yes, as soon as there's
but the gamification is our next step, rewarding the people that actually wants to learn. So that is what we're looking in the future as well. So yeah, lots of interesting, especially with the gamification and the data that we collect from this. Because obviously at this stage, we were just building and putting it on to get the people moving and going.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
That's a lovely, I must just commend you there in terms of someone previously referred to, the L&D department as being likened to the cobbler's kids who have no shoes. Always offering learning opportunities, but never learning themselves. And just commend you there, Adri and Cal, for, continuing to learn and learning a new system is really, it's a beast of a task. So for taking that on, especially in the context of Pluto learning, the learning management system, and starting with the basics and, getting those down good, mastering those skills so that you can layer up those skills when it comes to your system is set up correctly to benefit most from those reports that you're getting and from features like the gamification. So just from our personal journey, it's just also lovely to see clients really get the system and put in the work to maximize what it has to offer. So kudos to you there.
I think I also just to add in a little bit there, I think one of the things that's been most exciting for me, like one of the biggest successes that I can really look at, is when we as I said, we recently launched this kind of free learnership content out to the staff. Firstly, the uptake has been incredible. We've seen some incredible numbers of people jumping and actually doing courses, which, again, that's that pull. This is showing that people have a desire to learn. So they're jumping and doing it. The briefs that we're getting, the requests for content are coming through, which really excites me because they're saying, oh, this is great. I'm looking for this. So probably the biggest success in this that I keep seeing is that culture that we've been trying to drive, that culture of learning development. We're seeing these guys grab it with both hands and embrace that culture, and that's a massive win, I think, for us, especially within the learning development kind of industry, if you will, to see that the desire is there, the want to learn is there.
Yes.
If we can find the best way to suit those needs, people will jump in. It's kind of like the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come, and that's the focus. And the great thing is that with Pluto at the moment, the system is so easy and user friendly that before, like Adri can tell you, we've had some of the strangest requests and, I can't log, where's this? And what do you mean? I can't click that button and all sorts of things where it's been streamlined. You've just told people go in and they know exactly what to do. They can find what they're looking for, and it's been so smooth. So yeah, we're very, very fortunate to have partnered with you guys in this journey because it's made our lives just so much easier.
Just to jump in there, this is the first system that I didn't have to put out a step-by-step user guide. So it helped me a lot.
Incredible.
It helped me a lot, yeah.
Okay, guys, we are running rapidly out of time. Let's quickly, as fast as you can, future plans, looking to the future, what are, maybe in 2-3 sentences, what are some of the things you'd like to focus on? And then tying into that, what is the role of technology and AI? You've mentioned it a few times, Kyle. how do you see technology playing a role in your future learning and development vision?
Yeah. So very quick then. I'll be quite short and to the point with this. So firstly, our future focus is quite easy. We've been focused on trying to build this kind of learning and development culture, get the courses available to everybody. Now we want to make sure that we improve on the system that's already in place and make sure it works for everybody. To do that, we're going to improve our data analytics, make sure that from a data analytics perspective, we're getting the data in. Like Adri was saying earlier, what we can do with that data is incredible. We can establish where the trends are. We can use competencies for departments. So build algorithms that say, well, according to your department, these are the competencies that are required. These are your interests that you've been showing interest in, and maybe within your department, some of the interests. And building algorithms, we can establish, well, these are some of the courses that will best benefit you in your daily life. So it's pointless doing a course if you never use it. We want to give you a course or provide you a course that you can actually take and apply immediately. So data analytics, we're going to build onto our next level. Like we really want to push into that as much as possible and make sure we're gathering as much data as possible. With that in mind, step 2 obviously then would be the gamifying of that, this funifying, and I say it. So the gamification side of things, what we're looking at doing there is building like a full-on rewards platform. We want to reward people for learning because learning in itself is its own reward, but everybody likes a certificate, everybody likes, but if we start having these mini leaderboards and making sure that we gamify as much as possible, much like, I suppose, if you take an example of like the Discovery group where they've got, if you get so many points, you can get this reward. But if you save up, you can get this reward, and just encourage people to continue that learning. So those are some focuses we're going on, which talks into the next part of the question, which is where L&D is going, AI, how that plays a role. Firstly, I'm so excited about the AI journey of it. It's next level. It's making L&D so much easier. And so we're able to do so much more with technology, where a lot of people I know are afraid of technology and always going to take our jobs. I'm more excited about it. There's the concept of AI agents, which I've said, like the AI agents that are popping up, you might end up having that everybody gets a OpenAI account with their personal agent. And that personal agent is now the tutor. They do everything learning through here. And if it gets to that, well, how do we utilize our system through Pluto and everything else? How do we support that? Because that's what we're here for. It's not about us. It's not about what we do. It's about how we support everybody else. So we're looking at AI and saying, great, well, something's going to come along. Let's keep our eyes about where it's going.
We'll be ready.
And those challenges that people are seeing, we're seeing them as opportunities, and we're seeing them as exciting things that are coming up. How do we use what we've got? How do we support that to take people to that next level? Because that's really what it's about. Learning, developing, growth, making sure people come from where they are to where they want to be and higher in a short amount of time as possible.
I love that, Carl. I feel like we should end there because that was so inspirational. I know we have 1 minute left. If you guys need to jump off, please feel free. I will be sending out an email afterwards. And then you guys shared some really interesting tools and processes that you're using. So I'd love to share those. We can just have a quick chat and I can maybe share those in the email as well, if anyone is interested. But the idea was to flip the script a bit today and allow Kyle and Adri to ask questions to the audience to kick us off. So maybe one question. Let's see if we can get a 1 minute conversation going and then we can all head back. Kyle, Adri, do you have a question for the audience?
You can go, girl.
Okay. To be honest, it's about sharing, right? So what I'd like to know really is what tools are you guys using in your organizations that are helping you and empowering you in terms of learning and development? Whether it's free, or just generally what are the tools that worked, and also what have you tried that hasn't worked? Because sometimes you learn more leading to success. So if you try something that hasn't worked, why didn't it work? That'll probably be to ask one question in those 2 parts. That's what I'd ask.
Awesome. Any takers? Adri, otherwise you'll need to answer. What tools are you using? What's working? What's not working? Thank you, Roxanne.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Well, what I can what didn't work, what So we obviously, before we got to you guys, there was this other platform we used, and it was absolutely so user friendly that we just couldn't even do a proper course on it. So we've been through up and downs. It's not just plain sailing, getting the system and up and going. So we've looked at a lot of systems, Kyle has especially, and the one that it was also Moodle based, but it was just not user friendly. You couldn't even build a proper course and get it onto the right platform and so forth. And when and I've already seen Pluto before I used that platform, and I just, from the beginning, I just loved the way that you simplified it, because that's what we are about in our company as well, is simplifying things. It doesn't have to be difficult. Just simplify it, make it easy to use for the people, and you'll get lots of people using it, because I really, really enjoy your system.
Okay, lovely. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Kyle, would you like to answer your own question?
No. I'm just going to say, with regards to this whole thing, firstly, thanks for having us here. It's been incredible. One of the other things I was going to say in terms of questions, if you're sending out obviously some feedback on mailers, I'd maybe say also, I'm really interested in building a learning guild. And this guild would be basically people in different learning and development areas kind of meeting up and discussing what works and what doesn't work. And we're going to try and do the same thing within our organization as itself. So the managers in different departments that are doing their own learning meet once a month or once a quarter, however often we do it, and just discuss, this is what's working, this is what isn't, because sharing information is so important. Whether they're doing book clubs, whether they're doing lunch and learns, whatever those aspects are. But if anybody's interested in that kind of concept, also reach out to me.
Brilliant. Carl, so you're happy that I share your contact details?
Yes,
Okay.
Please do.
Amazing. Yeah, let's get that going. Let's keep the conversation going. We'll call it there. Carl, Adri, thank you so much for your time, for your stories, for your enthusiasm. It's been lovely. I think we could chat for 3 more hours. We must go back, unfortunately. Thank you for everyone.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
It really was.
Thanks. Yeah, it was really awesome. Thanks so much.
I think you guys might go viral. My predictions, I think, will be correct.
It'll probably be viral. Listen to this guy. He doesn't stop talking.
I can't stop listening to him. Okay, lovely. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Sweet man.